Assalamu alaikum dear students. Okay, last time we were discussing P group and we have established a very important result regarding P group, that the center of P group is always non-trivial. Means that you must have more than one elements in the center of a P group. Now we want to know that whether a given P group is always abelian or not. So lastly, we have seen with the help of examples that this is not the case always, that a P group is abelian, because you know that D4 is a P group, is a 2 group, but it is a non-abelian family. Dn is a non-abelian family. Similarly, Q8 is a P group, is a 2 group, which is also non-abelian. And similarly, you have another P group, that is V4, which is abelian. Similarly, C125, cyclic group for 125, which is a P group. This is 5. This order is 5 cube, but this is abelian because all cyclic groups are abelian. So this is a very important question. You need to know that which type of P groups could be always abelian. So before talking about P groups, we have a general theorem beyond the concept of P group. Whether your group is P or not, a group G is abelian. We say that a group G is abelian if and only if G by center of G is cyclic. Means you just find G by center of G. If it is a cyclic group, then you can say that G is abelian. So whenever you are using the word if and only if and only if is in fact a characterization. So you want to characterize all abelian groups. Okay. So whenever you are saying that a group G is abelian, this always means that the factor group G by center of G must be cyclic. And conversely, if you can show that that if you want to show that a group G is abelian, the idea is you find its center, then you find the factor group. You know that center is always normal in G. That's why the structure of factor group G by center of G is well defined. Now you need to see that whether this group is cyclic. But remember about the elements of this group, how you write the elements of G by center of G. So G by center of G, remember the elements of G by center of G, because it's a factor group and its elements are in fact the left cosets of center G by G, and you can write like this: G center of G. Okay. And one thing is also need to know that you remember, keep in your mind that center of G is in fact the identity of this group, because the elements of this group are in fact the cosets, and you know that the center of G is also a coset by the identity element. You can write center of G as E center of G. Look, the elements here, what is G? G is in fact G is an element of G. So to write the elements of this factor group, there should be an element from G and then the entire group's center of G. Similarly, you can write E into center of G. Of course, E center of G is equal to center of G. So center of G is in fact a coset of center of G by identity, and so being equal to of the type is an element of this set. So that's why center of G is in fact the identity. And also you know that the normal in your factor group G by n is in fact the identity of the factor group G by n. So remember this thing in your mind. Okay. So that's proof. So first we suppose that G is abelian, and we need to know we need to show that G by center of G is cyclic. Okay. Suppose G is abelian, then G is equal to center of G. It's very simple result, and you know that center of G contains those elements of G which commute with every element of G. And since G is abelian, so every element of G commutes with every other element of G. That's why G is the entire center is the entire group G. You know, if G is abelian, then G of center G is equal to center of G. But then G by center of G, what will happen? This is equal to G center of G, G belong to G, and this is equal to, in fact, G capital G using equation 1. You can write G instead of center of G since G is abelian, so this becomes G where G belongs to capital G. You know, if G is an element of capital G, then this single element will be absorbed in this capital G, because you know that Y belong to H if and only if YH is equal to H. Let H be a subgroup of a group G. If H is the subgroup of a group G, then you know that if Y is an element of H, then you can write YH is equal to H. And conversely, if YH is equal to H, then Y belongs to H. And this is also happening for right coset as well. That's why, since G is an element of G, so this G, capital G, would be equal to capital G. So this is equal to capital G. Now look at this. And you know, capital G is in fact the center of G, and you can write this is equal to center of G. Okay, so look at this now. So what is G by center G? Is equal to the identity element. I already have told you that you need to know that center of G is in fact the identity of this group, and in fact this group is in fact the identity group. And you know that the identity group is always a cyclic, it's a trivial cyclic, right? So if I am writing like this, then of course it is a one cyclic subgroup, okay? Since it contains only one element, which is identity, so identity E can generate this, E power 1 is equal to E. You know that every cyclic group has at least two generators, and you know that if your cyclic group is infinite, then it has exactly two generators. And if it is not infinite, it's a finite cyclic group, then every cyclic group has at least two generators, namely A and A inverse. And a cyclic group has exactly one generator, either A is equal to inverse, or that cyclic group is the identity. So a group containing identity element is in fact trivially cyclic, right? So that's why, since G by center of G is the identity group, and containing just identity element, this means that it's an identity group. That's why this must be cyclic, right? Hence you can write this shows that G by center of G is trivially cyclic, right? Conversely, you suppose that G by center of G is cyclic. Remember, if I am saying that G by center of G is cyclic, this means that there is a generator. This means that whenever you take any other element other than that generator, so the new element can be expressed as some power of the generator. What I am saying, I tell you that first thing is to know that what are the types of element of G by center of G. If X belong to G by center of G, then X must be of the type G center of G. This thing, okay? If I am saying that X is an element of this group, then remember, you know that the elements of this group are of the type G center of G. So if you say that X is a generator, if X is a generator and you are supposing that it's a cyclic group and X is its generator, then any y would be equal to some power of X, and any y where y belong to G by center of G. So this is the idea. Okay, if you suppose that G by center of G is a cyclic group, then there must be some generator, and if X is a generator, then of course X must be of the type. And if you take any other element y now from G by center of G, then y must be equal to some power of X, right? Whenever I am saying that G by center of G is a cyclic, then there must be a generator. This means that all other elements of G by center of G can be expressed as a powers of X, as some powers of X. This is our idea. Okay, so suppose that G by, conversely, suppose G by center of G is cyclic, right? Since it is cyclic, you may assume that there is a generator. So let G cap say is equal to G center of G, of course where G belong to G, and is B a generator of G by center of G. This is very simple because of the definition of a cyclic group. You suppose that G by center of G is cyclic. If it is cyclic, then there must be some G underscore G of the type G is center of G, because the elements of G by center of G must be of the type where G belong to capital G, be a generator of G by center of G. This means that whenever you take some X and Y from G by center of G, these can be expressed as some power of capital this G. So let X, Y belong to G by center of G, then X must be equal to, say, you may suppose that this is equal to, this must be some G power M, of course, and similarly the other element can be expressed as some Y must be equal to some G power N for integers, for positive integer, for positive integers m and n. Okay, try to understand the idea. You have supposed that G by center of G is cyclic. If it is cyclic, then there must be some generator. Of course, generator must be of the type because the elements of G by center of G are of the type. So I am supposing that G is a generator of this cyclic group. So if you take any element X and Y, which are G by center of G, so X must be equal to some G power M and Y must be equal to some G power N. Okay. Now you see that what happens. So let X is equal to X center of G and Y is equal to Y center of G, where X, Y belong to G. Of course, X and Y are also elements of this group, G by center of G. So X must be equal to some X center of G and Y must be equal to some Y center of G. Putting values in here, you can say that this is equation number, say, 1, putting in 1, putting values in 1, we get what happens? X, which is equal to x center of G, would be equal to G power m. And what is G? This is G center of G power m. And you know very well that if you take power G center of G power 2, this would be equal to G center of G into G center of G. This would be equal to G square center of G. Okay, this is by definition of factor group. Whenever you have two elements of G center of G, G center of G, two elements of factor group, then if you multiply, you know that the multiplication in a factor group is well defined, and you have defined that product of two left coset is again a left coset, and you have taken this left coset in your group 3-1 as G1 into G2, because here both are G, so that's why it would be G square. Similarly, this element would be equal to G power m center of G. This is G power m center of G. Similarly, the other element becomes y center of G becomes, this is equal to in fact x bar, and this is equal to y bar, which is equal to y center of G. This is in fact equal to G power n center of G. Now you need to know whether xy is equal to yx. If you can prove that xy is equal to yx, then G by center of G must be we want to show that x and y are elements of G. Here x and y are elements of G. We want to show that xy is equal to yx. The idea is to show that xy is equal to yx. Let's hope we can show that x into center of G. Okay. Now this means that you have two ideas. One is x center of G is equal to G power m center of G, and y center of G is equal to G power n center of G. This means that you can write like this, center of G x inverse G power m center of G. Okay. You can write like this. Okay, G m inverse x center of G is equal to center of G. Similarly, G n inverse y center of G is equal to center of G. Look at this. If something is multiplying with y center of G, answer is center of G, so this means this is an element of center of G. This is an element of center of G. This means that this implies Gm inverse x would belong to center of G, and Gn inverse y belong to center of G. So let Gn inverse x is equal to some z1. Okay, you can write this is some z1. Z1 is an element of center of G. Okay, and Gn inverse y is equal to some z2 where z1 z2 belong to center of G. Remember, since z1 z2 are the elements of center of G, they must commute with all other elements of G, so there is no ambiguity to replace their positions with any other element of G, because these are the elements of the center of that group, center of G. Okay. So what does mean? This implies, you can write like this: x is equal to gm z1 and y is equal to gn z2. This implies xy is equal to, now you, because the idea is to show that xy is equal to yx, because x and y are elements of G, capital G, and we want to show that capital G is a abelian. So that's why you have to show that xy is equal to yx. This is our idea. That's why now I am going to check that xy is equal to yx or not. So xy is equal to g power m z1 into g power n z2. This is equal to g power m plus n z1 z2. This is equal to g power n plus m z2 z1. This is possible because z1 z2 are the elements of your center, so they can be replaced, because G is an element of capital G, so its power is also an element of capital G, and this is the z1 is center element, so you can commute. So z1 g power n is equal to g power n z1. There is no problem at all. Okay, since z1 here you can write since z1 z2 belong to center of G. So what is this? This further can be written as, and also m plus n, you know addition is commutative, so that's why m plus n, this is gn gm z2 z1. This further can be written as gn z2 gm z1. Yes, you see this is equal to yx for all xy belong to capital G. So we have shown that G is abelian. Hence we deduce that this shows that xy is equal to yx for all xy belong to capital G. Hence G is abelian. Okay, so whenever you want to check whether your group G is abelian or not, you find the factor group G by center of G. First find the center of group, then find the factor group. If it is a trivial cyclic or any other cyclic, then G must be abelian. Okay, now we will use this theorem to establish that a group of order p square is always abelian. You know that a group of order p square is in fact a p group. Hence, all those p groups whose orders are p square must be abelian. Like a group of order 49. I have a question. Can you tell me that whether a group of order 49 is abelian or non-abelian? So since 49 is 7 square, it's a 7 group and it's a 7 order is 7 square, so it must be abelian. So the probability is a group of order p square, where p is prime, is abelian. If the order of G is 121, we can directly find whether it is abelian or not. This is equal to 11 square. You know 11 is a prime. So every group of order 121 must be abelian. Means that there does not exist any non-abelian group. of order 121, right? Look at here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If your order 1, or these are the order of your G, okay? If the order of G is 1, of course G is containing just the identity element, it must be order 2. And you know that every group of a prime order is cyclic, and you know that every cyclic is abelian. So that's why every group of order 2 is abelian, means that every group of prime order is abelian. You know that every group of prime order is cyclic and every cyclic is abelian. That's why there does not exist any non-abelian group of a prime order, right? So we have classified all groups whose order are primes as abelian groups. Now here is 4. So a group of order 3 is abelian, a group of order 5 is abelian. So what about 4? 4 is 2 square. 4 is equal to 2 square, prime square, and you have this theorem, a group of order p square, where p is a prime number, is always abelian. So 4 is 2 square. So any group of order 4 must be abelian. This means that there does not exist any non-abelian group of order lesser than 6. Hence we deduce that a non-abelian group, the smallest order of any non-abelian group, could be 6, because yet we have no such result about number 6. Okay, so there may be, I am not saying that a group of order 6 is always non-abelian. No, there must be C6 as well, and you know that all cyclic groups are abelian. So any cyclic group of order 6 must be abelian, right? There always exists an abelian group of every order. If you take Cn, where n is any natural number, then Cn must be abelian. Means that if I am saying you that, can you tell me any abelian group of order 100? This is C100. Okay, there's no problem. Can you find a group of order 99, which is abelian as well? This is C99. Okay, so all cyclic groups are abelian. But my question is whether a group of order 6 is always abelian. No, this is not the case, because you have S3, the order of S3 is 6, which is non-abelian. This means that the smallest non-abelian group, the order of the smallest order of a non-abelian group could be 6, or you can say is 6, because you have the example of S3. Okay, however, lesser than 6, all groups are abelian. So let's prove this theorem. We can prove this theorem easily. Okay, proof. Let order of G is equal to p square, and you know that order of G is p square, so it is a p group, and you know that the center of a p group is non-trivial, so its center is could have more than one element. So what are the divisors of p square? The divisors of p is 1, p and p square, but one here 1 is not satisfied because 1 is the trivial center. So center must contain either p elements or p square elements, right? So by so this is a p group, this is a p group of order p square. So we know that center of a p group is non-trivial, thus the order of center of G, thus order of center of G could be p or p square. Okay, you know that G, the order of G is p square, and it is a p group, and you know that the order of its center of p, the center of p is p group is non-trivial. That's why by Lagrange theorem there are 3 divisors of its center, because center is a subgroup and the order of a subgroup divides the order of group. That's why a center could have three elements. One is 1, p and p square. But the case 1 is false because it's a p group, and you know that center of p group is non-trivial, so its center must be more than containing more than one element. That's why the center could have either p elements or p square elements. So we will check whether center has p elements or p square elements. So let's check. If center of G, order of center of G is equal to P, then order of G by center of G, the last theorem, you know that by last theorem you can find if it is cyclic, then G must be abelian. Okay, so G by center of G is equal to order of G by order of center of G, which is equal to P square by P, which is P. And G by center of G is a group of prime order, and you know that every group of prime order is cyclic and every cyclic is abelian, so this group must be abelian, right? So this means that G by center of G is of prime order P. G by center of G is of prime order P, and you know that every group of prime order is cyclic. So is cyclic. Since every group of order P is cyclic, and also by the last theorem you know that if G by center of G is cyclic, then G must be abelian. Okay, but then G must be abelian by last theorem. We have established that G by a center of G is cyclic if and only if G is abelian. So if G is abelian, therefore what G must be, G is abelian, so G is equal to center of G. You know that if G is abelian, then G must be equal to center of G, which is a contradiction because the order of G is P square and the order of center of G is P, which is a contradiction. Since order of G is P square while order of center of G is equal to P, hence this case is not possible. Okay, if you take order of center of G as P, then we have seen that G by center of G is of prime order, and you know that every group of prime order is cyclic, and if G by center of G is cyclic, then by the last theorem G must be abelian, and if it is abelian, then G is equal to center of G. If both are equal, then of course their orders are same, but order of center of G you have supposed at P, and the order of G is P square, so you are getting a contradiction, hence this case is not possible. Consequently, order of center of G is equal to P square. If this is not the case, because center of G is equal to P is providing you a contradiction, that's why center of G must be equal to P square. Okay, what happens in this case? We see that but then uh, G is equal to center of G. Why? You know that if H is a subset of G with order of H is equal to order of G, then of course H is equal to G. So I am using this result because center of G is a subset of G. Center of G is a subset of G, and the order of center of G is equal to P square, right? So this is the only possibility that G is equal to center of G, and if G is equal to center of G, then G must be P, right? Since I am writing here, since center of G is a subset of G and order of center of G is equal to P square, which is equal to order of G. This is the reason, because center of G is a subset of G. You know, center of G is a subgroup, so because it is a subset as well, and also center of G is equal to P square, which is equal to order of G. That's why if center of G is equal to P square, then there is no hesitation to say that G is equal to center of G. Hence, G must be abelian. So what we have established is that every P group of order P square means that any group of order P square is always abelian. This means that a group of order 49 is abelian. A group of order 25 is abelian. Okay? A group of order 169 is always abelian. This means that there is no non-abelian group of order P square. Okay? So in next lecture we are going to start Cauchy's theorem, and then we will start Syllo's theorems. Okay? Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.